Live stream is just about to start.
It's okay. Okay, I think it's better this way.
Okay, so we are on YouTube. We're on YouTube as we speak. Can you hear me, Prof?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so very much for your time this evening. And I have to genuinely apologize for the few additional minutes that we have taken.
Well, such is
This is the fourth in the series of our In Conversation series. And the overall aim of this series is to have conversations with very senior academics and community leaders who, as it is said, when early career academics, younger people are seeking to grow, you aim to find the right shoulders that are broad enough, strong enough to stand upon. So we use this as an avenue to have conversations on cogent matters that would drive career development, but also community development, particularly in our own locality. My name is Abiodun Egbetokun, and I host this series. It's a pleasure to have you, Prof. And I'm hoping that we would have a very nice and interesting conversation today. The very gentle start that I would like us to have this evening is for everyone who has been able to join us live or who is watching the live stream on YouTube to get to know you. But to do that, I will hand over to the moderator, Dr. Shakirat Abimbola Adeshola. I think I see she's connected, but the audio might be having some delay. So we may not be able to hear her yet, but let's proceed and hopefully the issue will be resolved in a matter of very quickly enough. So Prof, we would like to know you, particularly we'll be interested in your background as an academic, both disciplinary and otherwise.
Well, thank you very much, the acting moderator. Well, I'm Matthew Odedokun. Well, I'm from Oyo. Well, I started my career in academics when I finished PhD at University of Ife in 1985. I joined University of Ilorin. I was there for about 7 years. When I rose to the, I rose to the rank of senior lecturer then. That is in 1990. 1989. And I became head of department or acting head of department, 1990, 1991. But thereafter, I left Nigeria. And I did so for almost 18 years.
Wow.
Working to universities abroad and I'm an economist, by the way. I read economics. So I worked outside Nigeria. I worked at University of Swaziland. I worked with a research institution, Kuwaiti Government Research Institute, equivalent of NISA in Ibadan here, for almost 2 years. I crossed over to outside academic and research. I worked with IMF in Washington, D.C. for 2 years. I was as an economist. Then I left and crossed over to Finland. We call it World Institute for Development Economics Research. It's a United Nations University branch. And I was there for maybe over 3 years. After leaving there, I came to Nigeria. I was maybe on a call. I was the technical advisor, debt management office in Abuja, when we were seeking debt relief. I was the third. Okonjo Iweala was the first. I and another Nigerian, but working now with American American passport. Was the second, so I was the third. So I worked there for, just above 1 year or about 1 year. We were still yet to get debt relief fully, but at least I was able to get, that was 2004 and 2005. And then 2005, I left Nigeria again. I worked as an economic policy advisor at Commonwealth Secretariat in London. I was there for 3 years before I finally came to Nigeria. That's around 2008. And I joined Leeds City University. During that time, I was a special consultant to the Minister of Finance during the time of Yaradua. But when Yaradua died, I just spent 1 year, so I had to come back to Leeds City University. After that, I now joined Kwara State University in Kwara State here. Then where I retired last year. So briefly, that's just a summary of my career profile.
Wow, that is a very rich summary. Okay, so I will hand over the moderation to Dr. Adeshonga. She's here now. Dr. Adeshonga, I think we'll be able to hear you. I'm looking at the microphone has been active. Are you speaking, Dr. Adeshonga? Okay, it seems that the technical problem might still be there. Okay, so we'll carry on with the conversation in the meantime. Thank you so much for that background. There is a part of the background I was, there's a part of the background that I was interested in. There's a part of the background I wanted to hear that you didn't touch on, Prof, and that is your connection to Oyo, and at what point did you leave Oyo?
Well, actually, I've always been connected to Oyo, and until recently, almost 2 years ago, I was the governing council chairman of Alayande College of Education. And thank God we were able to midwife it. We were able to mount pressure, midwife, canvas, and so on. Once we got it upgraded to University of Education. So, but all the while, I've always been, where I'm one thing or the other. And again, until about 1 year or 2 years ago, maybe member of the board of Saloyo Community Bank, and so on and so forth. I've been involved in activities related to Oyo and its environment.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that, sir. So that will lead me to my next question, which is, now you've traveled far and wide based on the profile summary that you've just given us. You've traveled far and wide. I would say you've seen it all, in that sense. So based on your experience, what you have seen both home and abroad, how would you characterize the current academic landscape, particularly in relation to competence and skills, first and foremost in Nigeria compared to other places that you've been to, and also more specifically in Oyo Federal Constituency?
Well, the academic situation faces a number of challenges compared with many other countries. The academic morale is very low. We are very much aware how poorly remunerated the academic staff have been. Well, the first time, it has been characteristic of Nigeria. In fact, I left Nigeria in 1991 because of the same poor, not only conditions of service or pay, not only pay, but the totality of the environment. Such that when I left Nigeria, I was briefly as a scholar at IMF before I later took up appointment there. And what I earned, that's November 1991 and March 1992. When I converted it to Naira then, it was multiple of the salary I earned when I became a full lecturer in 1985, and until when I left in November 1991, multiple. So you can just imagine. So you don't expect the the morale to be high under that situation. What I'm saying is that it is an historical pattern, and I think it's a situation that has to be addressed. And if pay or remunerations are low, you also expect other working conditions to be challenging. Either the laboratories are not well equipped, or libraries are poorly. There are very few books, and so on and so forth. So, this follows. All of them go together. It's not just pay alone. So it has always been like that. So when I got abroad, when I was, for instance, I worked at the University of Swaziland. That was 1997, and 97, 98 and so. You see, I see the difference. When I was in UK as a visiting researcher there and so on, I saw the difference. And not to talk of, United Nations University and so on and so forth. So we still have a long way to go in terms of the totality of the environment surrounding the tertiary educational institutions in Nigeria. So that is then concerning that of those that are located in Oyo. I think we cannot divorce them from what is happening to other tertiary educational institutions all over the country. So I don't have to single those one out. So that is, I don't know whether I'm addressing your comments or your inquiry.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, precisely, sir. So the point is to say that Oyo scholars are not facing any unique or peculiar challenges that their counterparts elsewhere are not facing.
If I thought they are not, well, maybe because we are not many yet. So the opportunity of assisting each other may not be as high as when you go to maybe Ekiti State or some other places in Nigeria like that. Maybe because we are still few, we are not large in number to be able to reinforce and collaborate with each other and bring each other forward, upward. Maybe those are the few areas of differences. But again, we are still better than many other parts of Nigeria. While we see some areas that are well above us, we still see a number of areas that are much below us. Such is life.
That is correct, sir. That's entirely correct. Now, I'm interested in one particular point that you just made, Prof. That yes. we are not many yet. And I was wondering, I look at this from two perspectives. So the one perspective is the Japa syndrome, which I would suspect has been occasioned very highly by the poor working conditions that you mentioned earlier. And then there is also the distinction between the very senior people who have gone ahead like yourselves and those of us who are, mid-career aspiring to grow, and even those who are coming behind us. So when you say we are not many, what will be the most important factor that explains that? And so not being many, is it about the total number of scholars from Oyo or people who are very senior like yourselves? And why?
I think I would say both, because those that are senior, they are few, and those that, it almost follows that those that are not so senior will be correspondingly few. As I said earlier, we are not the only communities, or we are not the only community with few scholars per capita, per head. In those days, those that were I know few ones that were ahead of us. Maybe some of them, some even became vice chancellor and so on. Maybe at university level, I can mention Professor Ojetunji Aboyade of blessed memory from Awe. Baba Wande Abimbola, also a VC of the same University of Ife. Well, thank God he's still alive, he's with us. But that's that. I mean, but after those ones, by which probably are by chance, I couldn't see others that have attained top leadership position in academic institutions. And maybe that affected their ability to bring up people that are following. So maybe in other words, maybe both of them go together. Those that are, I mean, the pioneers, then those that follow distantly like us, and those that are still following us. The same factor that maybe if the top, the initial, at the beginning, if you have disadvantage of early start, unless we make concerted effort to overcome it, it will linger on perpetually.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Dr. Adeshola, are you able to speak now, or do you want me to just carry on? I think the technical issue is still there, so we'll just proceed. Now, the next set of questions that I have, Prof, are all related to, trying to get your insight on ways that early career academics can strategize to rise. And I think it very nicely connects to what you just finished talking about now, the sparseness of very high profile people who can pull the others by the hand. But I think we can always work with the limited, the limited resources that we have and the limited number of people that we have. I'm hearing myself. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's been sorted. Thank you very much. So my next question, Prof, is how can early career academics plan? How can they strategically position themselves for institutional leadership? So by institutional leadership, I mean, attaining official positions, progressively increasing, like HODs, deans, then DVCs, vice chancellors, and so on. And you did mention that in your own experience, you've been chair of a governing council of an institution. And I'm sure that in that position, it gave you a platform to make some important changes. So how can upcoming academics strategically position themselves to grow along that pathway?
Well, let me say the word leadership positions in academics. Well, those that I mean, what do we mean by leadership? Leadership means those that can provide leading roles regarding the policy formulation and execution in educational institutions. And well, it starts at a very low level, below HOD. By the time you are becoming exam officer, I mean, for instance, it's a position of responsibility. But effectively, leadership starts at HOD level, head of department. Traditionally, the department is responsible for the academic contents, actually, the not administrative as such, but the academics. I mean, all things be above the department. The rest is supervision and coordination.